Let's take you back to one of our top stories now on Newsnight. President Ramaphosa has described the situation at Eskom as a crisis. The struggling state-owned entity will be divided, we now understand, into three separate entities. That's going to be generation, transmission and distribution. But the unions are very clear that they are concerned about the unbundling of the parastatal, which could result in massive job losses and retrenchments. Next week, we understand the unions, one of the biggest ones, will be holding a nationwide strike to fight against the ongoing job losses in all sectors of the economy, especially as what's happening at Eskom. Let's find out what the state of the union currently is. I'm joined by Louise Tipe, the second Deputy President of Cosatu. Louise, good evening to you. One of the quotes this week is that this is essentially unions are viewing this as the state declaring war on workers. That's very strong wording. Is that accurate?
That is, yes. That
Why?
is, given the challenges that we've gone through and seeing that seemingly no one is really giving us a proper hearing. Hence, we will be going out on the 13th.
When you say a proper hearing, what would you like to have President Ramaphosa hear? What would you like to have him say? Is he not saying something or is he not listening?
We would really like them or him to listen to us and not rather have us been told after decisions are taken. For an example, on the Eskom matter, there hasn't been any consultation with Labour, and here we are now, decisions taken which will result into job losses. And that's the position that Cosatu says, for whatever that is being decided upon, we are not going, we would never rest and never say job losses are a way to go with that regard.
And tell me what you make of the comments since SONA that the unbundling of Eskom could actually lead to more jobs by breaking it down into these three separate entities. What's your reaction? Why do you not agree with that?
No, we're not agreeable to that because we see it to be more privatized. It might not come out as the name privatization, but that unbundling definitely talks to privatization.
Why?
Which will then cause more jobs losses.
Why do you say it speaks to privatization? What's the logic behind it?
The logic would be that would not necessarily be under government, but certain individuals will be in charge, hence privatization.
You're saying that the strike is going to be nationwide, coming up next week. I imagine there's going to be a memorandum of some kind to be handed over. What exactly are you demanding from government?
We're talking on job losses. There has been the job summit, which came up with some commitments to moratorium on job losses. But our observation thereafter was contrary to the commitment. We see across all sectors jobs being shared. So the memorandum will talk on the very fact that we say jobs and jobs and jobs. We can no longer go for any retrenchment or job losses in the sectors.
How would Cosatu fix Eskom?
We would stand by the decision or the position that will talk on jobs not to be lost. We are now being overtaken anyway because decisions have been taken. And we only are being told at the last hour that this is what is going to happen.
Exactly. You've been told after the fact, this is what's been decided for you. Let's imagine that wasn't there for a moment and we gave you, as Cosatu, the power, perhaps through Labour and Labour unions, to try and get Eskom on board. Not from a Labour perspective, but what would Cosatu, if the President was listening this evening, Louise is watching Newsnight tonight, I'm sure, what would you tell the President? How do we fix Eskom?
Surely we could have came up with some of the solutions, having observed the bloated structures of your management level, where we now are saying all what is happening now is as a result of what has been seen up there, which has been more of your managerial level, their huge salaries, their perks, and at the end, it's your ordinary rank and file members who are now taking the
strain.
Yeah.
I imagine is what you were going to say. Let's talk about the ordinary rank and file South Africans then, Louise, in the strike next week. My final question to you has got two parts. One, what is the effect you're hoping it's going to have in order to force government to do something? What is the outcome you'd like to see? And two, what happens if you don't get what you want after the strike? What is your next maneuver?
That is not an end to itself. We know we might not achieve a thing, but there are still actions that are to follow. We have Section 77s that have been granted by NEDLAC, and we'll roll out the campaigns.
There's a rolling movement of campaigns.
Yes.
Louise, thank you. I'm going to say thank you for the moment. I'm sure we'll be touching base again as this strike gets underway. A plan for this coming Wednesday. Cosatu's second Deputy President, Louise Tipe, joining us here on News Island.